In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the image generation APIs in both Grok and OpenAI to take in a topic or a title and actually generate a prompt using the chat completions API, as well as individual image links, as I mentioned, from both Grok and OpenAI. I like to look and compare how they differ because I find, while not perfect, these AI generated images are quite interesting still once the prompt is perfected. And I'll actually also show you how to pass in a prompt that you write yourself, because maybe you want to add more specificity or more detail into what you're looking to generate. But let's open these up and see what we're working with. So this is a Mexican-American war. Yeah, and it's just, with AI's faces tend to be a little difficult, especially when there's a lot of them. It says, note, quality, size, and style are not supported by XAI API at the moment. Whereas, so you can kind of see it's just a very basic, there's a watermark down here in the corner. For OpenAI, I was able to specify a bigger size. And this one is probably what I would roll with in comparing the two, even though there's this weird horse riding the smoke in a few places. So not perfect, but better in my opinion. In a new sheet, I've created the structure of the project here, and actually I'll copy this to make an OpenAI option. So title, image prompt, which we will generate most often, but we're going to start with a prompt that is already written, and it'll print the Grok and OpenAI APIs. So open up extensions app script, and you will need API access for both of these tools. They're not free. In your Grok console, I've funded the account with $10. And then if you give them access to, review the data, they'll give you $150 in free credits. So I'm rolling with that. You would go to create an API key. I've already done that for Grok. And then I'm also using OpenAI to do that as well. And in the way that I'm going to store these API keys is in the project settings. And you'll see I already have the Grok. So let's create a new API key for OpenAI. Image generation, delete later. I'll select my project of Atomaway, and that's what I'm calling this whole endeavor on YouTube, is to automate repetitive tasks. Hopefully you're finding it helpful. So copy that, edit script properties. So edit script properties, add script. I'll type open API key. And for the value, I'll paste in that value from OpenAI, save script properties. And then back in the code, we're going to write the first function that we'll call is simply, we'll rename my function to image generation. And this will be with Grok. We're going to take in the prompt. In the documentation for image generation, as I said, there's some limitations here. You can create up to 10 images. We're going to create one, so we'll just go with the default. They give you nice migration instructions. So how to migrate from OpenAI, which I find quite funny that they're just blatantly saying this, like in the docs, it's how to come from OpenAI. But I'll say const payload is equal to, we need to pass in the model, which will be Grok 2. I'm waiting for Grok 3 access. If you're on the Grok team, hit me up. I did submit a form. And then we'll pass in the prompt. We'll interpolate this string with backticks, $, and then curly brackets. And we'll pass in the prompt that was a parameter to this function. We'll also say const URL is equal to, back in the docs, at the top, they provide this URL endpoint for the API. And then we'll say const Grok API key is equal to script properties, get property. I don't know why that's deprecated, which is weird. Maybe they're going to get rid of that. Grok API key. I believe that's what we saved it as. And an options object. The options object will take in the method of post, the content type of application /JSON. The headers will take in an authorization with, again, those backticks. Bearer, capital B is important. Grok API key, again, interpolating that value. And the payload, which will be the payload, but we need to actually stringify that. So JSON.stringify, wrap the payload, and we'll write a try catch. We'll catch an error, and we'll just log that out. Logger.log, error occurred. Probably misspelled that, but you know what? Doesn't matter. And within the try, block, we'll say const response is equal to URL fetch app.fetch. We'll pass in the URL and we'll pass in the options. We'll say response code is equal to response.get response code, so that we can write some if statements that if the response code is equal to 200, which is successful, we will parse the JSON, the response.get content text, and then we will simply return the JSON.data, which is an array, and we'll get the first item in that array .url. This is where I believe you could iterate over this data object with like a for loop and get all 10 options if you wanted to do that. Else logger.log. Let's just type the response code. Okay, I think that's, we'll call this Grok image generation. And I'll also write a function from prompt because we want to let the prompt range equal spreadsheet app get active range, get the values of that range. We'll let the row equal copy that, and we'll get row. And we'll write a for loop. We'll say for let I equals 0, I is less than prompt range.length, I++, and we'll say let image URL equal. We're gonna await, so we need to make this an async function. We'll await the Grok image generation. We'll pass in the prompt range, the ith item, and the 0th item of that. It's confusing, but that's how a spreadsheet app gets values from the spreadsheet. And then finally, we'll set the image URL by saying spreadsheet app, get active sheet, get range. And that's why we got the row, because we're going to get the row. We're going to plus I in case we're iterating over multiple values at once. And I'm just going to say the third column is where we'll set the value of image URL. Now let's just quickly write an onOpen function where we'll say spreadsheet app, get UI, create menu, image generation, add item. I like to move that to a new line and indent. And we'll say generate prompt. We'll say generate image from prompt, And that is in string as a string. I don't know why they did that, but talk to the Google team. And then of course you have to add it to UI. Command S to save that. Back in the sheet, we will refresh so that we'll see the menu show up. It does close out app script, but we'll highlight the prompt and we'll generate image from prompt. You have to authorize it. So the prompt is highlighted, create an iconic image of the Eiffel Tower under construction. And there we have it. Okay, we're off to the races on that one. So back open extensions and app script. Now I want to use the chat completions API to basically do all the log out a prompt. So have the tool actually generate the prompt from the topic. And to do that, I'm going to create a new function, and I will call this one prompt generation, which will take in a topic. Const payload is equal to an object back over to the docs. I'm going to copy this, paste it in. And instead of this system, I'm going to say you're an image generation assistant. And I will fast forward this, but okay, so the payload takes a model, which is Grok 2 latest, and a messages array where I'm going to say the system is you're an image generation assistant. And then I wrote, can you generate an image prompt to create a historically accurate, lifelike, and iconic snapshot of the topic? And then we're interpolating the topic here. That's why I'm doing backticks here and here. And please only return the image prompt and provide no additional context, because LLMs love to just provide like, this is what I think you meant, and here's some ideas and bullet points and all that. So we don't want that. We also need the URL, which is equal to basically the same URL with the V1, but chat completions, I believe. And you know what? We're going to use a lot of this too. So let's just copy that. So we're getting the API key. We're constructing a post method, same headers. We still need to stringify the JSON. And I, again, should have just done this ahead of time, but we're going to update really only the response here, because it is, instead of data this time, it's choices, same 0th item dot message dot content. And now I'm going to write async function. I'm going to call it orchestrate because I want to orchestrate the process of generating the prompt and then passing that prompt into the image generation functions. So I'm going to say let range. Let me just copy this. So I'm going to say let range equal spreadsheet app, get active range, get values, let row, same thing as above. This time we're going to say let row iter. So to iterate over the rows equal 1 for let I equal 0, I is less than range.length, I plus plus. We're going to say let the prompt equal await prompt generation, range I 0, again, the spreadsheet app consideration. And we'll say spreadsheet app, get active sheet, get range, row plus I, and the second column will set the value to prompt. And finally, we'll say row iter plus equals I plus 1. We'll also say let prompt range equal to spreadsheet app, get active sheet, get range. And this time we're going to get the row in the second column where we inputted the prompt. We're going to go for the number of rows we're iterating over and one column, and we're going to get the values for that prompt range. We're going to say another for loop where we let j equal 0. J is less than prompt range dot length, j plus plus. Let image URL equal await Grok image generation, prompt range j 0th item of j. Spreadsheet app, get active sheet, get range, row plus j, third column, set value, image URL. Okay, let's add this to the menu. We'll add item, generate prompt, and image link, orchestrate. Okay, let's see if this works. So I'm going to say we have to refresh the sheet. Let's go with the summer of love. And let's select our new option, have it generate the prompt, and then pass the prompt through the Grok image generation. And hopefully this doesn't break while I do this, but I'm going to wrap this column just so it looks a little better. Easier on the eyes. And wow, look at that, Summer of Love. Haight-Ashbury Street is popping with some guitarists. Something's going on with this lady's face. Take it or leave it. Hopefully you have a good prompting process for creating images. Back in the extensions app script, let's add OpenAI. So I will say function OpenAI image generation. That will take in a prompt similar to the Grok. In the docs, down in the specialized models image generation, you'll notice I'm going to use DALL-E 3. So I use the curl formatting to help understand like how to construct this. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to say const payload is equal to that object where the model is DALL-E 3. The prompt is going to be the prompt we pass in as a parameter, similar to how we did it with Grok. Where we want 1 in this scenario, you can change n to be 10. Similar. It's crazy how similar all these products are, honestly. I'm going to change the size because I want something a little more quality and larger so I can maybe export it to Canva and make a nice hero image. And then we're going to say const URL is equal to copy this URL. And it's going to be the same options, and we're going to need to get the API key, but it's open API key is what we named it. We're going to pass in our API key, stringify the payload, and let's go back up to the image because I think this is going to be similar too. And all of this code will be in my GitHub account, which is linked in the description below. So you can, just copy and paste and hopefully run with it. But I'm also hopeful that this tutorial will help you level up your ability to automate the tasks you face every day. So same structure on how to get it. So I think we're good to roll. Let's update a few more of the functions, such as orchestrate, where we will, in the prompt range, we'll say let OpenAI image equal await OpenAI image generation, same prompt, and we'll copy this, and now we're going to put this one in the 4th column, and we will update that set value. I'm just going to copy these and go to from prompt, paste them in, but update J to I here and there. Command S to save that. And now let's see what happens when I'll run it for 2. We'll do the full process. I'm running it for 2 so you can see that it works in bulk and you don't have to just run it one at a time. So you can generate multiple images. You can find which ones work or look best to you. As I think I mentioned earlier, at least OpenAI has a 1-hour data retention policy on these links. So if you like what you see, I would recommend downloading it as soon as possible so that you don't lose it and have to regenerate them, which could cost money via API credits. Not could, it would cost money, but it's pretty minimal. Honestly, I think I've spent 40 or 4 cents in testing this workflow. So it doesn't break the bank. Take some time though. All right, let's see what we have here. That's Eli Whitney. That is a realistic, looks like a movie set. Yeah. I don't know which one I like more. This one looks like Grok just looks more realistic in my opinion, even though this isn't probably something I would use. I'm using these for a history YouTube channel that I also work on. So that explains the history context of these examples. But I hope you found this video helpful and a quick introduction to the Grok API as well as OpenAI. Please leave a comment, subscribe, put your requests in the comments below if you want something built custom, and I can try to build something that maybe you would find very helpful and others would find helpful. So thank you for your time and thank you for your interest in automating away your repetitive tasks.